Nature has seasons. Trees rest, animals rest, the land itself rests. Even our Creator rested. So why do women believe we don't deserve to? Why are we expected to produce every day of every year? Welcome to Womenfolk Revival, where we are deeply rooted, wildly intentional, and totally deserving of rest. I'm Maggie.
And I'm Meara. And I think a lot of us are waiting for that breaking point before we are able to allow ourselves that rest. We wait until we are majorly sick, until we're burnt out, extremely exhausted, and then we start snapping at people that we really love, like our family members. And I've been guilty of that, even recently, feeling like we can't handle one more thing. And then when you reach that breaking point, rest finally feels acceptable. And I always wonder, why does it take that for me to get to that point? Why isn't just tired, enough?
Um, well, the modern world doesn't reward healthy women. It rewards exhausted ones. The woman who answers her emails at midnight, and the mom who never sits down, and the wife who says that she's fine when she's running on empty.
Yeah.
It's
I
just
found
kind
myself,
of, go ahead.
no, it's just kind of what?
It's just kind of the way that society has slowly been,
Transforming us.
yeah.
Yeah. I found myself asking some questions lately, like, why have I been feeling more overwhelmed than I used to? And why
Mhm.
does just that one tiny responsibility that I have? I mean, what's one more responsibility, right? I have a million other things I'm doing. Why am I more overwhelmed than I used to be? And why does that responsibility feel so heavy? I'm more
Mhm.
irritated about things. My husband could breathe wrong and it will be a whole mood.
Yeah.
I why I sleep for 8 hours and I'm still exhausted. And then I finally realized that the question wasn't what's wrong with me, because that's what we keep asking ourselves. It's how long have I been carrying all this without stopping long enough to notice what's going
Mhm.
on?
Our our bodies whisper before it screams.
Mhm.
So, figuring out what's going on isn't always obvious, but the signs are there if we're slowed down enough to
Mhm.
notice.
Mhm.
But it's
Yeah.
just a matter of finding that slow that slow way of being,
Yeah. Yeah, I
especially
agree.
when we're in a system
Slow
that
down.
doesn't want that from us.
Yeah, and it doesn't slow down, it's constantly going. And then we all start questioning ourselves. Could it be stress? Could it be perimenopause? Could it be the
Mhm.
hormones? Is it our thyroid? Because when you're
Yes.
not feeling like yourself, it's not always obvious what the cause is. And I think
Mhm.
that's what's making everything so frustrating, because we just want answers. We want
Right.
someone to point at us and go, hey, that's the reason why this is going on. But of course, life isn't like that. There's
No.
just, and there's several things. It's more than one thing that's contributing to this all at once. So it can make it really hard to know where to start with noticing these things.
Right. It's not necessarily just burnout.
Hmm.
It could totally be just burnout, just natural, pure exhaustion. But there's a lot of other health issues that come along with that, especially in today's world with the diets that we have and the lack of exercise. I saw that fly across the screen.
I caught him. He's in my window now.
um, and of course we also live in a society where we kind of are expecting it to be something else. And
Yeah.
we have all these different health issues, and they talk about all the symptoms and they're like, "Oh, that's me. That's me. That's me." But there's, several other things that could have those exact symptoms.
Hmm.
And we just become in this revolving
Mess.
mess.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a huge mess.
We
You
don't know our
know,
bodies.
we don't.
We don't know enough about all these diseases, and we don't know how to take the time to sit down and get to know ourselves and our bodies and what's really going on.
Yeah, because we feel like we don't have the time. You know, the one thing I've learned being in the medical field, not necessarily as an LPN, but more as a medical assistant because I was working at the doctor's office is women usually know when things feel off. Well, and me as a woman, I know when something feels off, right? But I might not know
Mhm.
why.
Right.
And I noticed that something has changed or is changing, and like you said, we just need to get back to trusting ourselves with noticing these changes.
Mhm.
And that's one thing that I wish myself and us women would do more of is just start paying attention. Don't obsess over every little thing that's happening. We're not trying to diagnose ourselves. Just
Mhm.
be in the moment and pay attention. And my idea for that is keeping a simple log. If you keep a simple log for a couple of months, track your energy, track your sleep, have you noticed changes in your mood, your cycle, your ability to focus, anything that feels different from your norm, and patterns that are showing up, those can tell you a lot. Those can tell you a lot. And so then when
Yeah.
you sit down with your healthcare provider, you're not just trying to remember everything that had been happening. You can say, hey, here's what I've been noticing for the last few months. And that's a whole different conversation because now you're bringing the information to the doctors and you're bringing the patterns, which is what they go on. And you're bringing something that they can actually look at. And instead of trying to remember how you felt 3 months ago, and that can help guide the conversation about even what labs might be appropriate, what questions to ask, and where to go next.
And I love that idea. And I think along with doing that,
Mhm.
take a moment to rest and don't consider sitting down and logging your symptoms as resting time. Sit down and rest because I don't even have to know that you're exhausted because you live in a system that benefits from you never slowing down.
Right.
So take that moment to actually rest. And then after that, log how you feel during those moments. How do they compare during the moments, during your daily routine where you maybe didn't used to rest or the times when you're not resting?
Yeah, and I also wanted to throw in that if hormones are a part of the conversation because we're at all different parts of life,
Mhm.
there are healthcare providers who specialize in perimenopause and menopause and women's health hormones, and we have information about that actually along with some resources that we're going to share with provider directories on our community page on Facebook that you'll be able to get. And something else I didn't think we talk about enough is the mental load. You
Yeah.
know, not just how we're doing it, but what we're carrying because we remember everything. We remember the appointments, we remember the schedules, you know. It's it's a lot. The
It is
meals,
a
the
lot.
bills.
And, speaking of hormones, and let me just say, it doesn't matter what stage in life you are. We're women and hormones are always at work doing
Mhm.
something to our bodies and our minds. So even though there may be physical traits from issues with your hormones, there's also going to be mental complications that come along with that also.
Mhm.
Hormones.
Yeah, hormones are huge. I think I think one of the hardest things for us isn't figuring out what's wrong. It's just like you said before, giving ourselves the permission to slow down long enough um to listen to our bodies
Mhm.
because we can't stress this enough. We all learned that our worth was tied to how much we could accomplish throughout the day and throughout the week and
Yeah.
how much we could carry and get done, and I think for me, I know that's why I feel so guilty if I sit down and I rest. I'm just like, okay, 5 minutes later, okay, no, I have to get this done. And I'm back doing it again. And
Mhm.
and have you ever noticed that sometimes when you finally get a chance to rest, you just can't relax?
Yeah.
That you sit down
Yeah.
and you immediately start thinking about everything else that needs to get done. I'm planning tomorrow. I'm looking for something productive to do or reach for my phone in that moment to see what's going on. It's wild. It's wild.
And when you think of rest, I mean, I think, do women know how to rest? Do we know what rest is?
I don't.
Because it's not sitting down to watch your favorite show or doom
Mhm.
scroll or
Mhm.
catch up on, you know, the top events in, celebrity life.
Right.
It's disconnecting from all of that.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
totally disconnecting, maybe, and you can do things while you rest, if you have a hobby, if you enjoy something like knitting or fishing, those can be your moments of rest. You don't have to sit idle, although
Right.
I, would suggest you do, and, possibly maybe meditate or pray, maybe even read, and still have that mental stimulation, but you're taking a moment for yourself, just you, no screens to distract you, just
Mhm.
you, you know, being in the world. That's
Yeah.
rest.
A lot of us have forgotten how to just simply be. I know I have in the past. I'm slowly learning how to just sit there because I'm starting to realize that my body needs that support from me of doing nothing. It
It
just needs me to
does.
pay attention internally to see what's going on and check on myself like, "Hey, are you okay? It sounds so silly. Are you all right, Meara?
Yeah.
Do you need anything?" That sounds so ridiculous, but when I really sit there and I think about it, then I get caught in the moment like, I do. I do need something. I need someone to tell me that everything's okay and that it's all right
Mhm.
to slow down. Because, if you look at nature, nothing is expected to, not everything is expected to produce all year long. There's seasons for growth, right? And harvest
Yes,
and
absolutely.
rest. But somehow here we are producing every single season. And then we wonder why we're exhausted.
Because we are living in man's world. We're not living in
Okay.
God's world. We're living in man's
Yeah.
world. That's society. That's what they've created for us. But let me tell
Hmm.
you, all the people on top who are running things, they have lots of time for rest because we are their slaves who are making sure that their societal world is still going. And we need to exit out of that and start telling
Yeah.
yourself this: rest is not laziness.
Hmm.
What if rest is medicine? They wouldn't want you to know that either because they can't make any money off of you resting.
Sometimes I wonder, what if rest is the most overlooked forms of support that we have? Not because rest fixes everything, it doesn't, but when we're constantly running on empty, we can't hear what our bodies are saying. And so that's something we need to
Mhm.
start thinking about when we start asking what's wrong with ourselves. We hear a lot about hormones, but there's other things that can also create similar symptoms. And
Yep.
one of those is thyroid health. And what makes it so confusing is that thyroid issues and hormones changing can look exactly alike. So you can be exhausted, have brain fog, more emotional than usual, not being able to sleep, weight gain, just not feeling like yourself.
Mhm.
And it could be difficult trying to figure out what's causing that. And I think that's why it's important not to jump straight to conclusions thinking, oh, this is wrong with me. Oh, this is wrong with me, because it's not always about the hormones. It's not always about the thyroid or stress. Um, Sometimes it's just one thing. But sometimes it's also several things happening at once. So that's why paying attention to those patterns we had mentioned before and talking with your healthcare provider can be so helpful. Um, you know, but regardless of what it is that's contributing to that, there's some There's some support. There's some foundations that support our bodies as well, like getting enough sleep or managing stress or eating enough protein, right? Sounds simple, right? Spending time outside and focusing on those nutrient-dense foods. But when it comes to thyroid health specifically, nutrients like iodine and selenium, which I just started taking the other day, one Brazilian nut, just one Brazilian nut a day. You get all the selenium you need, and
Yeah.
zinc and iron. Those all play roles in health support for your thyroid. Seafood, eggs, meats, and other whole foods. It's not a cure, and it's not going to fix you. It's just a part of supporting the body. Also, again, if iodine, be sure you speak to the provider before you take that, like a supplement, because your levels could be fine. You might not need any more iodine. So,
I do know because I use the Lugal's iodine solution.
yeah, we have
Now
that.
they suggest you take that orally. But I learned from Barbara O'Neill that if you put it on your skin, you, because
That's how you get it.
it'll be dark, right? And then you see how long that lasts for. If it lasts for a long time, I think like 4 or 5 hours, then your iodine is fine. If it disappears right away, then your iodine is low. So you can even do an at-home test without having to go get labs done, just to get a quick see if you need iodine or not.
Yeah, I've heard of that before too. Is it
Yeah.
that one, or is it a specific one that you have to use for that test on your arm?
No,
I thought there was like a
it's just
specific
Lugal's
one.
iodine
Okay.
solution.
Yeah.
Not that I know of. No, I just use the regular iodine solution.
Yeah. And I think that the heart of this conversation that we're having today is listening, paying attention to your body and supporting our bodies, and just us giving ourselves permission to slow down long enough to notice what they're trying to tell us, you know?
Yes.
Um,
And just, and telling yourself that rest is not laziness or passive consumption. It is return to the rhythm that our creator built into the very fabric of life, to all creation. Rest was built into that. And we each deserve it.
We don't. So with that being said, before we close today, we want to leave you with this. Give yourself grace. Be gentle with yourself.
Okay.
Don't be so hard on yourself. You're an amazing woman. This isn't a problem to fix. It's a chapter to understand. If your body is asking for rest, listen. If your mind is asking for quiet, listen. If your heart is asking for space to breathe, listen. You do not have to earn your rest. You do not have to prove your worth through exhaustion, and you do not have to carry everything alone. If today's conversation resonated with you, we've put together some resources to help you take the next step. My daughter's screaming at the top of her lungs. Inside your Womenfolk Revival community on Facebook, you'll find symptom tracking ideas, questions to discuss with your healthcare provider, hormone and menopause resources, provider directories, and free tools that can help you track patterns over time. We will include the link below, and everything will be waiting for you there. You know your body, you know your symptoms matter, your questions matter, and you deserve answers. Thank you so much for spending this time with us today. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow the podcast and leave a review on your favorite platform. It helps more women find these conversations and helps our community continue to grow. And if you know a woman who needs to hear this message today, share this episode with her. Next week, we're talking about the reality of homesteading, the beautiful parts, the hard parts, the messy parts, and why social media often romanticizes it, and why, despite all the work, many of us still believe it's absolutely worth it. So until next time,
stay rooted, stay rested, and stay wild.
stay wild.